Hey everyone. Stuff like this, I mean, come on. When the media is constantly trying to pull and tug at your heartstrings for political propagandist purposes, yeah, that's about as immoral as you can get. Because they know how to manipulate. They know how to play with the psychology of the human beings, with people, especially those on the left of the political spectrum. That's what your political masters do to you people. Those of you who are overly compassionate towards others, who feel that you must be, or you and others and everyone in the world must sacrifice themselves for some concept of a greater good. Your political masters know that's how you think, and they take full advantage of it. And this is just the latest example to prove that point. Headline out of CBC News. And I mean, the reason why I'm covering CBC News for this is because I love pointing out the blatant hypocrisy and the subtle ways that they completely twist, manipulate, or distort the messaging so that they can come across it. Like I say, it's all about damage control. It's all about public relations when it comes to the CBC. They don't really care about this girl, this young girl. The people at CBC, they'll forget about her fucking tomorrow. But if they could take advantage of it politically, they're going to run with it. This under the world section. A viral photo of a crying Honduran girl didn't tell the whole story. Does it matter? That's the headline. Does it matter? Does it matter the fact that the establishment media completely lied and misrepresented this little girl by suggesting that, you know, the big bad immigration enforcers down in the U.S. ripped her from her mommy and separated them, as if that's something any different than anyone that's charged criminally with any offense, and there's a lot of them that have no victims involved. If you're charged with even growing or consuming marijuana, as we know in Canada, and there's still no pot amnesty, so there's people sitting in jail right now for doing nothing. They didn't even do anything like illegal, like crossing an international border per se. They just grew, smoked, consumed, or distributed a plant. And they had their children ripped from them. Is any bleeding hearts out there? What about people that have been charged with impaired driving and there was no victims involved? You know, that are spending time incarcerated in jail and have their lives destroyed and turned upside down. I don't hear the bleeding heart liberals out there fucking, you know, caring or showing their compassion towards these people. No, not at all. Not in any sense of imagination. Right? They don't give a fuck about anyone in their own particular countries, but they care about this little girl, this little stranger that comes from a foreign country that her mother chose to take her across an international border illegally. And we're seeing that the story wasn't even true. It was completely false. Fake fucking news, folks. The epitome of what it is to be fake news. This girl was not separated from her mother, but other children were. What's your point? Mark Golem of CBC News. What's your point? Why are you doing damage control for your political masters? Why are you doing damage control? Oh, that's right too. You must be a leftist, a collectivist that believes in, oh, I got to stand up for my tribe no matter what they do. Because, hey, I'm an opponent to those on the opposite side of the political spectrum. So I'll defend my tribe no matter how immoral, no matter how unethical, no matter how much they lie or distort the truth or completely manipulate the minds of the masses. Oh, I'm going to defend them because, hey, tribalism, collectivism. Wow. The picture of a crying young Honduran girl in a pink jacket and jeans became a powerful image to illustrate the controversial U.S. policy of separating children from parents arrested for crossing illegally from Mexico. Oh yeah, before I forget too, I just want to point out the fact that, and maybe I'll find an article or two, I won't really reference the article, but I'll share them in the link of this video. But yeah, hey, the Canadian immigration system, they do the same thing. You know, that's the thing when you break the law. Guess what? You're going to be separated from your fucking children. There's no such thing as prisons, jails, or being incarcerated in any term with your kids, right? So it happens in every country, not just Canada, U.S., but I'm sure it happens in a lot of countries where when you break the law, you're going to be separated from your children. Whoa. Shocker, huh? But yeah, Canada has no ground, no room to stand on. You know, they can't virtue signal when they do the exact same thing. But the picture has sparked its own controversy, as it has since been learned that the image did not tell that specific story. that specific story. It was fucking lies, blatant lies, bullshit. Can't you just admit that it was a lie? Like I say, political spin or what? The picture just does not say what we all thought it said. And I think that's a problem, said Dan Kennedy, an associate professor of journalism at Northeastern University. Getty Images photographer John Moore took the photo of U.S. border officials detaining and searching the girl's mother at the border in McAllen, Texas on June 12th. The image soon went viral, retweeted repeatedly on social media, and used by a number of news organizations to symbolize the issue of children being separated from parents caught illegally crossing into the United States. For its cover, Time magazine took the image of the girl looking up crying, combined it with an image of U.S. President Donald Trump, and ran the headline, "Welcome to America." I mean, just look at this shit. Like pure political propagandist and political opportunism at its finest. The New York Daily News used the whole picture on its cover with the words callous, soulless, craven. Trump president's edict led to 2,000 children ripped from parents at border in just 6 weeks. And that's another thing. It all happened under Obama too. Like what? But the media wasn't fucking out there hating on Obama, right? Because they loved him. They loved Obama because he catered to their particular political positioning, or called them in some manner, in some way, or put on a smile or joke with them. Like I say, the guy was a much better snake oil salesman than Trump is. Trump is just one of those guys that just say, hey, I'm trying to find a way to appease the base while at the same time being somewhat reasonable. I know a lot of people out there would say, oh, no, Trump's the most irrational. Fuck off. I don't believe any of the shit you espouse because I actually pay attention. Sorry, you might try to spew that bullshit, that nonsense to someone else that hasn't been paying attention. Maybe someone that's had their head stuck in the sand for the last, I don't know, 2-3 decades. You might be able to fool them, but not me. The picture seemed destined to become iconic, much like the image of 3-year-old Syrian refugee Alan Kurdi's body washed up on the shore, or the pictures of children fleeing an aerial napalm attack during the Vietnam War. But as new details emerged, the narrative didn't match what many thought the picture depicted. The girl was not one of the children who had been ripped from her parents. Instead, mother and daughter had been taken away together. The girl was crying. Border Patrol agent Carlos Rules told CBS News, not as a result of being separated from her family, but because, according to the mother, she was tired and thirsty and it was late. So once again, pure political opportunism, folks. And all done at your emotional expense. Keep that in mind. These new details were immediately seized on by a number of conservative commentators. National Review editor Rich Lowry tweeted that the iconic image of the separation policy didn't involve a separation. All too typical of how a hysterical, advocacy-driven media covers immigration. Ari Fleischer, former press secretary of George W. Bush, tweeted that Times cover crossed the line. They separated themselves from the truth. MSM's dedication to a narrative is killing their credibility. Anyways, I'll post a link to this article in the description of the video below. But once again, this is just another example, the latest example of how the political propagandists, those in the established media, many of those in the established media, there are a very few that are the exception to the rule. But as you're seeing out there time and time again, folks, they're out there. And the reason why there's so much fighting and bickering going on is because these political propagandists on the left are completely distorting and denying their own culpability and complacency in the kind of shit that's been happening, not just since Trump come to power. Trump's a reaction, folks. Trump is just a reaction. And the reason why the media is so goddamn well desperate these days is because no one wants to give them even the time of day. Because who trusts them anymore? Who, other than people that want the media to propagate their political talking points and narrative, nobody believes and trusts the people in the established media anymore. Nobody. I talk to people out there all the time. It's not just people online. I talk to people in real life. You know, tangible human beings that I can touch physically, and I know who they are, right? And I talk to them, and let me tell you, trust and faith in those in the established media, it's completely gone. It's completely gone, and for good reason, because of shit like this. Hopefully they learn to correct those past habits and behaviors, or as I expect, they may very well double down, and once again, we'll constantly be stuck with this constant fighting and bickering over, well, who's telling the truth? Because, well, they're going to constantly promote that they're telling the truth, and those in the established media are saying, no, we're the one telling the truth. So this divide, well, it's only going to continue to increase for the foreseeable future if something isn't done. These established media outlets really need to get rid of these fucking lying pieces of shit, but I expect they won't do so. I expect they'll wait till it's way too late, and media is going to have to get a complete revamp. And there are people out there, people like myself, even though I don't really care to be, I don't want to be part of the media. But if that's what needs to happen so that people finally get some semblance of truth, some semblance of logic, some semblance of reason, right? If that's what needs to be, then hey, maybe that will be what I'll do in the future. I don't know. Like I say, my future is still up in the air. It's not written down anywhere. I'm open to rise to any occasion where it's deemed necessary, where I can help people out, and not just the moral, philosophical, but their social and economic understanding of what the world truly is, what it represents, what it means to live in a Western society. Because you right now, as it is, you're being inundated with a bunch of lies, a bunch of propaganda, where they're constantly telling you that you're the worst of the worst. Well, I'm telling you, you're not. Well, some of you might be, most of you aren't. And it's time that that alternative opinion, that alternative narrative, some truth, some logic, some reason, gets the same kind of traction that shit like this gets on a regular and ongoing basis. It's G'day Libertarian, and I love liberty.